Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on the Arrowverse, but most specifically to do so with Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, yes, I know it's quite late to do a Crisis on Infinite Earths video, saying that we've months past this crossover. Now, for me at least, without a doubt, Crisis on Infinite Earths was the best Arrowverse crossover we've ever had for multiple reasons. However, the more I thought of it and the more I rewatched this crossover, this left me thinking they could have done certain parts a lot better. With that being said, I came up with this video idea in going over the top 5 things I would change about Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, for these top 5s, I do have 3 honorable mentions as well, so yeah, it's pretty much a top 8. Now, for this list, I mainly do touch upon parts 1, 2, 3, and 5 because I wouldn't lay a finger on part 4 as that part was just perfect. Now, with these changes I still made it that it fits most of the story, so I don't go far beyond into doing far-fetched stuff such as bringing Oliver back to life because I wanted this to really fit within the Arrowverse timeline. And this won't involve any budgetary concerns and things like that because what they did was the best they could have done. But before I go over this top 5, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Now, the first change I would make to Crisis is during part 1, and that is the death of Oliver Queen, the first death. Now, there's no denying that this death felt rushed, and it was just more of a shock value due to us having the death of the best character in the Arrowverse so early into Crisis. Now, in the original version, we obviously saw Oliver die to shadow demons, but I'm gonna change this up a bit. So when the Monitor tells Oliver it's time, the same things would play out as normal. So Oliver's saying that he's not going anywhere until the planet is evacuated and things like that. And Oliver would fire a paralysis arrow at the Monitor so the Monitor cannot travel Oliver to Earth 1. So after Oliver fires a couple of arrows and kills shadow demons, I then make it that the anti-Monitor will arrive and face off Oliver, as I believe that would be so much better because this scene would just become more and more intense. Because the very thing that Oliver was preparing for this whole time is right in front of him. He is the reason he left his wife and children. He's the reason to why he was working with the Monitor for months to save this multiverse. So having the anti-Monitor over there facing off the Green Arrow would just make it more and more intense. And Oliver literally just wasted his cosmic paralysis arrow on the Monitor, so he's pretty much screwed at this point. So then we'd have Oliver notice he has no more arrows in his quiver left, which results to him rushing to the anti-Monitor single-handedly, just like what we saw in part 1 to the shadow demons. And obviously the anti-Monitor would mop the floor with the Green Arrow, and this results to Oliver's death and Earth 38 being destroyed. But before that, obviously the Monitor is able to come to his senses and he rushes Oliver back to Earth 1. Now, this would be way better, as I said, because in their first encounter, Oliver would lose to the anti-Monitor, and so making their fight in part 4 a lot better and more poetic in a way. Now, another thing I'd change over here is that Diggle should have been part of the heroes, because Diggle was part of Oliver's crusade from the very beginning, and I just felt that it was so disrespectful of not having Diggle be there with Oliver, say goodbye to his friend and watch him die. So I think Diggle should have been with the heroes during part 1. But now on to change number 2. Now, the second thing I changed from Crisis on Infinite Earths is the Paragons of the multiverse. So for the Paragons, we currently have the Flash, who is the Paragon of Love, Ryan Choi, the Paragon of Humanity, Martian Manhunter, the Paragon of Honor, Supergirl, the Paragon of Hope, Kingdom Come Superman, the Paragon of Truth, Batwoman, the Paragon of Courage, and Sarah Lance, the Paragon of Destiny. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like these characters. However, I do not think characters such as Batwoman would deserve to be a Paragon because, first off, Batwoman, she's new to this whole vigilante thing, and she's new to this whole multiverse thing and things like that. So The fact that they just made her a paragon when she knew nothing about the multiverse and things like that just made it so random. Now, I know I do not make Batwoman a paragon in my list, but she will play a part later on, and I'll get to that later on as well. Now, in my opinion, I would have changed this to Kingdom Come Batman. Now, Kevin Conroy's Batman is definitely one of the most anticipated characters of the crossover, and he barely got any screen time, which I thought was quite unfair. So it would have been a lot better if they actually made him the Bat of the future, aka the Paragon of Courage. Also, Batman would have been way experienced than Batwoman and would know about this multiverse stuff, and we could have seen him like suit up and things like that as with his new armor. So that would have been really cool to see. Now, for this change as well, I would have made Kevin Conroy's Batman a hero instead of a villain. Now, another Paragon I would change from this list is Sarah Lance. Now, I really like Sarah again, don't get me wrong, but I would replace her with Oliver Queen, aka the Green Arrow, as the Paragon of Destiny. Now, this is because Oliver is the character that's been the first recruit from the Monitor to help stop Crisis. Even all first 7 episodes of Arrow were heavily Crisis focused, and it was also the Monitor testing Oliver this whole time. Not only that, but in Arrow episodes 6 and 7 of this season, it was all about Oliver accepting his destiny, which was to die, which is why it would have been a lot better to have Oliver as the Paragon of Destiny. Also, Oliver's death would have been more of an impact and more of a shock value to the heroes as well, because if Oliver died in part 1, that would mean that the heroes are now one Paragon down, making it a lot harder for them to defeat the Anti-Monitor, and this would have raised the stakes a lot more. And also, that's why it would have been a better excuse to get Oliver resurrected. But then when they find out that Oliver's soul can't be brought back, the Monitor would know that they would need 7 Paragons to defeat the Anti-Monitor. So later on, I would have made them use the Book of Destiny to make Sarah Lance the Paragon of Destiny. Now, the only reason I would do that is so we do not alter the Arrowverse timeline for part 4, and so we could make it that Sarah would be there the second time Oliver dies. Now, lastly, about the Paragons, I would have replaced Ryan Choi with Earth 2 Laurel, because just like Oliver, she was also tested by the Monitor, and even for not betraying Oliver, the Monitor rewarded her. And this all happened when she witnessed her Earth being destroyed. And the fact that she redeemed herself from a killer to a hero, this would show the humanity within her. And the fact that Laurel isn't in this crossover really does suck, with her even being tested by the Monitor, as I said. Also, adding on to my Paragons list would be more Infinite Earths related, because most of them are from Earth 1 in the original one, except for like Kingdom Come Superman. Whereas for this one, I would have like Earth 2 in it, Earth 99 in it, Earth 96 in it, so it will be more Infinite Earths related. So my Paragons would be the Flash, the Paragon of Love, Black Canary, the Paragon of Humanity, Martian Manhunter, the Paragon of Honor, Supergirl, the Paragon of Hope, Kingdom Come Superman, the Paragon of Truth, Earth 99 Batman, the Paragon of Courage, and Green Arrow, the Paragon of Destiny. Now, the next 3 that I will be mentioning are some honorable mentions that I really wanted to mention as well. So, the first one being the lack of characters. Now, Crisis was heavily focused on cameos, and it just wasted so many of these characters that we would have loved to see team up with our heroes. Now, some of them being Pariah. Now, I know Pariah doesn't technically count as a cameo, but I would have preferred if Pariah really got some more screen time, because for such an important character, he really had a little bit of screen time, and the only time we've seen him do a lot was part 3, and even over there, he just watched. That's literally it. Now, that is quite similar to Pariah in the comics. However, I believe that he should have really been given a better story, so I would have made Pariah have more screen time. Now, another issue that I had with the wasted characters was Smallville Superman. Now, Smallville Superman was definitely the most anticipated character of this crossover, and the way they ended his story arc, yes, it was good, but come on. who wouldn't want to see this guy suit up as the Man of Steel and team up with our heroes? So they could have done something where he got rid of his powers as he put blue kryptonite on him, and when he takes off that blue kryptonite and he hears that the whole universe is in trouble, he would suit up as Superman and he's like, okay fine, let me tag along with you, let me help. I think that would have been really cool as well. Now the next honorable mention I have is making Supergirl and Batwoman face off. Now during part 3 we obviously have Kara wanting to use the Book of Destiny to bring the people of Earth 38 back, and Batwoman's always like, no, I'm gonna stop you, you're not gonna do this, we don't know what this book will do to you. So I would have rather had them face off each other instead of them just sorting it out with a talk. Now why is that? So when they fight, we would actually see that more Bat side of Batwoman, and that, like, you know, she knows what she's doing and she'd have the courage to stop someone. And also it would have been sick with her defeating Supergirl and revealing the kryptonite like that. It would have just been a lot cooler than the way they did it. And also this would make Kara accepting that someone should be trusted with kryptonite just in case she does something wrong, like she just did. And she'd trust Kate to stop her whenever she does something wrong, such as this. And also them fighting out while a crisis is going on would make it more intense for the heroes as well, as they're starting to fall apart. And then later on they'd put their head back in the game and sort things out. But the last honorable mention I have is that, you guys know I brought Smallville Superman and Earth 99 Batman in this top 5 things I would change. So I would have a scene in part 3 where Kingdom Come Superman, Kingdom Come Batman and Smallville Superman are going to an Earth to save people. Now this is so they get some screen time, and also we need to get rid of these two characters somehow. And over there they'd encounter shadow demons, and in order to save lives, Kingdom Come Batman and Smallville Superman would sacrifice themselves and they'd face off shadow demons, while Kingdom Come Superman is out there saving the people. Then when the whole Earth gets destroyed, obviously Kingdom Come Batman and Smallville Superman would die, and is what would lead to that scene in part 3 where Kingdom Come Superman then talks to Earth 38 Lois Lane, where he's like, oh, I couldn't save them, and he talks about him changing his crest and things like that. I just thought that would have been a lot better as well. And since the Bat of the Future is dead, Kate Kane would now be revealed as the new Paragon of Courage. But then moving on to number 4, and that is when Harbinger's attacking the ship, instead of her fully being the one destroying the multiverse and killing the Monitor, I would have it that the Anti-Monitor would reveal himself once Harbinger would be exposed. Now this would be a lot better because it would show the Paragons what they're really up against, and again making it a lot cooler and more intense, because A, obviously it's showing the Paragons what they're up against, and B, it would be a lot cooler if we actually see the Anti-Monitor himself kill the Monitor and wipe out the entire multiverse. But lastly, number 5. Now for this one I would touch on the final battle during part 5. Now the Anti-Monitor is literally the biggest threat these heroes have faced, and the lack of heroes that were there in the final battle just wasn't something that I was a fan of. I understand the fact that it could be due to budgetary reasons, but I just would have loved having all these heroes just facing off one villain and showing you guys like how powerful the Anti-Monitor is. So I would have all these other heroes from the other shows, so like Kid Flash, Thea, Roy, and just the heroes we haven't seen in this crossover show up, and we have this like one massive final battle to fully honor Oliver's legacy and showing that there are still heroes behind. And something that's similar to that comic sequence that I'll probably put up a photo of. I would have loved to see something like that, and it would just be more honorable for Oliver's legacy, showing like these trails of heroes that have been inspired by him. It would have just been a lot cooler in my opinion, and I just would have loved that. Now before Supergirl sends the Anti-Monitor into the microverse, I would have loved it if the Flash delivered an infinite mass punch before he's sent to the microverse, as I thought it would have been a lot better to do that. then during the multiverse scene at the end, I would have had them showing the happy ending of Kingdom Come Batman and Smallville Superman after their tragic death in part 3. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys think about my list, and also be sure to tell me what you guys would change about Crisis on Infinite Earths. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.